Welcome back, little members. Today we are gonna review the new updates of VRM Posing Desktop Edition. If you want a short tutorial on how the app works, just click the link in the description. Today, April 1st. This is not a good day to make a review, but oh well. We should start with my first critiques in the first video, which of course have been resolved now. Number 1. Not being able to save custom poses. This was fixed by using this star option in the pose tab, but I will show you how it works later on. Number 2. This app being a strict poser. Well, technically this is true, but with its integration in Unity, you can use it as a poser, but export it so it can be used alongside Unity to have custom assets. Number 3. Custom facial sliders for blend shapes have now been added and they are glorious. This was one of the deal breakers for me, but now that we have them in the app, it's so much better and we can help pose our characters a lot easier. You can access it from the Skin Mesh Rendered tab. I will show this later on. When creating your own pose, you can of course check out any of the presets which we have here, and from here, click the customize pose. After you've customized it to your heart's content, click this button over here to save the favorite pose that you just made. And from here, just go to your select poses over here and then just click the star icon to select which pose you have already created. Number 6 was the latest one, so we're using this. Number 5 is the ones all of these are the ones I use for my other thumbnail projects. To use the custom facial sliders, click the face icon, then click the skin mesh renderer. You would normally see the blend shape proxy at first, so click this, and from here you can adjust everything like as you would in vroid. Angry, close, and so on. Just look for the settings which you want to adjust. Now, all of those have been settled. We can now look to the newest features which will help with the fluidity of work. Firstly, of course, we have the new layout, which makes it so much more simpler to move the model. If you have ever used Unity, you know what these are, which is, click this, and you can see here we have the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis, but these can change depending on your perspective, of course. So you click this to move it forward, left and right. This one to move it generally. It's pretty self-explanatory if you can see the video, of course. Compare this to the previous design which used sliders. This is much more simpler to use in my opinion. Next, you will see there's only one slider here compared to having two sliders in the previous version. This version will of course scale up and scale down your character, and to zoom in and zoom out, just use the scroll wheel. We now of course have an outline slider, which can be seen over here. You press this and you can see how much you want your outline to be, as well as change the color of that said outline. You can have it black, we can have it red, and so on. Normal RGB color stuff. Next off, we have the shadows. Compared to before, we only had one color shadows, but now we can switch between, well, any color of shadows, from intensity, shadow strength, then start changing the direction of the shadows. Just adjust everything from here. You want a red shadow? You got that. This would work pretty well, especially when you're using a cyberpunk background. So you can properly change the color of what your character is going through, or the character location, I mean. Next off, we have the model saver, wherein here in the change character, we can now have your saved models which you have previously loaded. So if of course you start out with this one, this is the default one we always start with. You change character and just click your newest character, and it will be loaded up. Next, of course, and possibly my favorite addition, is the addition of hand posing. First, you click here in poses and zoom in a bit so you can see it more. You press this hand, for example, just cancel this. Press this hand icon over here, and from here you can choose what kind of hands you want. We can go with grip, and also go for the left hand grip. Have them also separately, and of course this makes it much easier compared to what it used to be. In vroid, hands only have a couple poses, while in VRM Poser, for VC Face, you have to manually shape every joint in your hands. But here, for VRM Posing Desktop Edition, you can simply just select the type of hand you want to use, the closest one, then adjust it from there. For example, you want to do a grip, just press the grip selection, and from here you can adjust it to fit what kind of hand you want. So you don't have to manually adjust every single joint compared to what we used to do. Nextly, you can mirror joints now with this button over here. You press the select button for mirror, then press the joint you want, and then from here you can move both of your joints together, which can help making things more even, of course. Over here. And so you were probably wondering what this slider means. This slider can help adjust the size of the joints so that you can better select on which joint you want, because this was a bit of an issue earlier, especially in the hand area where there are plenty of joints all compacted in one small area. But now this slider makes things a lot more simpler, especially, I said working in the hands, but also makes it bigger when working with these bigger joints, which makes sense. Okay, last but not least, custom backgrounds. You press this button over here, then you can change what background you want, red, gray, and white. But now you can also use your own photo over here by pressing this and selecting what you want. And now we are using the background I use for most of my thumbnails. Now I have a list of suggestions which are pretty much just a quality of life change, because to be honest, I already got all I needed or wanted from this app, and with the use of blend shapes and the current build of the app, this is already well worth your money. So number one, a customizable navigator. By navigator, I mean this thing over here. The issue with this is that when I make my thumbnails, I like to zoom into the face, but when I need to go to the chest area, I cannot navigate on where my character is. So that's just I just wish that this thing can move when I zoom in or zoom out, or at least stay in frame for the most part, or just have it customizable so I can have it on the left side of the screen at all times, left side or right side or so on. Next off, scroll wheel sensitivity. When selecting poses, I like to scroll down instead of using this slider over here. This is the fastest way to go up and down, but when you're going to use a scroll wheel, it takes an absolute eternity just to go down. This can also be applied to the facial animations over here. While we're in this tab, number 3, we have blend shape slider categories. These are all of the sliders which you'd normally see in something like vroid, where we can slide this to make it look more sorrowful. We can go over here to make the mouth say the O positioning. Number 2 for the fangs, so that I have my normal teeth now. Surprise, and so on. This is not pretty normal and pretty standard. The issue I have with this is that none of these are categorized properly. We have to read through them to know which one we're supposed to change. So I just hope that they would place a category of such. One for all of these, one for the eyebrows and eyes and so on, so that we don't have to scroll all the way down to look for the one which we're specifically looking for. It would just make it a lot faster, of course. While we're on the face tab, having a favorites tab for facial poses would be great, since I use the same facial configuration for my thumbnails, which is a mix between angry and surprised. But of course, I had to manually reset every single one every time I do this, which could be irritating sometimes, but with a favorites tab like somewhere here, that would make things a lot more simpler. Last but not least, having a Control Z would definitely aid in, well, not screwing up what I just did. To help this as an example, I actually made so many accidents working with fingers. I always end up making it look something like this, which would be irritating to fix, and having to just go back and reset everything would be a lot easier than having to manually search for the default option. So having a Control Z is something I need in my life in this app. So yeah, these are all of the newest features that I've listed down. If there are a couple of features that I may have missed, you can of course look it at the update page that the developer has created, link in the description of course. So yeah, thank you for watching.